So you've got a newer Trek bike with Bontrager wheels and you want to save yourself some flats, headaches, and make an overall better ride? Well, let me show you how to take their TLR wheels, drop the tube, and go tubeless. Let's get into it. So going tubeless on a new Trek bike is generally pretty easy because almost all the wheels on newer Trek bikes come as what they call Bontrager TLR. What TLR stands for is that it's tubeless ready. So you can see on this one, it says tubeless ready right there. And you're gonna wanna make sure that before you do this, the wheel set that's on your bike also says either TLR next to it on the Bontrager wheels, or it's got a tubeless ready sticker. So once you've confirmed that your wheels are TLR or tubeless ready, next step is to check the tires. So in many cases, the Bontrager tires that come with the bike will be tubeless ready, but also a lot of times they're not. So you want to make sure that it says tubeless ready on there or TLR. Those two things are going to indicate that it's tubeless ready. Now in my case, I'm going to be mounting these wheels up with another brand of tires. I'm going to use some specialized tires here, and so it's the same process. You want to make sure that they say tubeless ready as well. As long as the tires are tubeless ready, the wheels are tubeless ready, you're pretty much ready to go. Now that we've confirmed our wheels and tires are tubeless compatible, we've got a couple more things. Our next thing is we're going to need some rim strips. Now the wheel design on a Bontrager TLR wheel is not inherently tubeless in its design, so it's got a little bit of a shelf, but Bontrager TLR wheels, they need a plastic rim insert. Now these inserts are going to come both in diameter and width, so be sure that you select the right ones for your bike, because the neat thing with the Bontrager TLR is the tire is actually going to mate against this plastic, and the plastic rim strip is what creates that tubeless seal. From there, we also need some sealant. All different brands work. I happen to like the Bontrager sealant, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then you're also going to need a tubeless valve stem. Bontrager does recommend their own. However, I've found that most brands work, and this particular one is black and will match up real nice. You're also going to need a tire lever to get these installed. And then the last thing is, of course, a nice floor pump to be able to pump it all up. So now that you've got all your stuff aside and ready to go, let me show you how we're going to start to do this. So your TLR strip can pop right out of the package, and this is kind of the key to the tubeless setup working so reliably on these Treks. So it's going to be a plastic little strip here, and what I'm going to first find is the valve hole and the valve hole on the wheel. So I've got the valve hole right there. We're going to line that up with our rim strip, and then to make sure the strip doesn't move on us while we're installing everything, just take your valve, slide it right through the rim, and don't tighten this down all the way yet, just snug it up. And from here you can start to work this through. So we're just gonna work this rim strip in, and these will snap into place. So make sure that you kind of put some extra pressure down, make sure it's snapping in, and I'll hush up so you can hear. And when you get to the end here, it's gonna start to get tight, but just press up with your thumbs and it'll snap in. Once you're snapped all the way in, start to rotate this around, find little spots like this that aren't quite all the way in, and perfect. Got another one right here. Just go around and ensure that that's all set. Our next step here is go ahead and start to snug down your valve. You want to get this snug but not overly tight, because if you tighten this a bit too crazy, you can start to crush the plastic insert, but you do want to make sure that it's airtight, so it's sort of a fine balance between the two. So that'll get snugged in. Next, we'll take our tubeless ready tire and start to mount that on. And this just goes on like any other tire would. Snap it into place, and as you do this, You will notice it's a little bit tighter than a traditional tire, so you can go ahead and use your valve or your so you can go ahead and use your tire lever and just help snap the tire on. Now the way I like to do it is I'll get all but this last eighth of a tire, and that last portion, what we can now do is we'll take our TLR sealant, make sure that it's nice and shooken up, because there's little fibers in here that we want to make sure get in so it clots up when you've got a flat. And then we can take this sealant and pour it in. As we pour in our sealant, we can make sure that we get enough in there. Generally, the rule of thumb is 2 ounces for road bike, 4 ounces for a standard mountain bike, 6 for a mid-fat, and 8 for a fat bike. But in my case, I'm just putting enough in there. And remember, more is probably better, because you're never going to be upset that it does seal, but if you don't have enough sealant in there, you might be upset that it didn't. Generally, with the TLR setups, I find all you need is a standard floor pump. So we'll go ahead and get that on here. So those are all good pops, but we're gonna just take a look, make sure everything's sealed up, which seems to be. We'll bring this to inflation pressure. Be sure never to go over what the tire says you should be able to inflate to. Now you can do the tubeless dance. Basically what we're doing here is we're making sure that the sealant gets all the way around on the wheel and that it totally plugs up. Of course, have some fun at it. And then finally, we're just going to go ahead, spray down the wheel, make sure we take the rest of the sealant off, because you're probably going to have some residue as it seeps through both the sidewall as well as if you spilt any. Once you're done with that, just drop the wheel into the bike, and now you're ready to take it for a spin. Keep in mind, it's totally normal that if you don't get a chance to take it for a ride right afterwards, that it might lose a ton of pressure overnight. That's again because that sealant needs to get around the tire, so I highly recommend taking it at least for a short ride right afterwards. But nonetheless, thanks so much for joining me on this James the Bike Guy. Let me know what your thoughts are on setting up the tires tubeless. Hopefully it goes just as easy for you as it did for me. I love the Bontrager system just because it is so simple and easy to put together, and pretty much always works with just a normal floor pump. Well anyways, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know your comments down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That way you can see more videos like this in the future.